Welcome to Homestead Reptile. Today I have Mud here. We're going to be giving the geckos a Halloween treat. So I have some freeze-dried fruit here that I'm going to be crushing up in this little pestle. So these are freeze-dried raspberries. So we recently got a freeze dryer. We set it up and we have been just freeze-drying a ton of stuff. I've been freeze-drying some fruit and putting it off to the side for the family, but also stuff for my geckos to enjoy. And my colony of geckos, they're loving it. They're absolutely digging it. You can see Mud as I've been filming this has just been flicking his tongue out and in more often than usual. And he's been I've had to stop the video several times because he was crawling over to my cup of powdered fruit, and he did knock it over while I was filming it, and I had to place him back on the log again. So I had to retake this a few times. I didn't think he would be that disruptive because he's normally a really chill boy, but I guess this fruit was just too delicious smelling. But he pigged down on this stuff like crazy. He was just in love with it. All my geckos just loved it. I've never had such an aggressive feeding response with any food before like this. Just freeze-dried stuff that was just fresh out of the freeze dryer. I added a little water, mixed it with some other different fresh freeze-dried fruits. It was like I was feeding them fresh fruit, pretty much. I've never had such an aggressive feeding response like this. Everyone loved it. They pigged out on it. And I think I'm definitely going to be doing this again because they love it. I'm going to tweak it so it's actually a little bit more balanced because this is mostly just pure fruit. So I'll be adding multivitamins, and I'm going to be adding a little calcium, D3, and I'm going to be adding some more protein into it and just kind of making my own small, ready-to-go crested gecko diet. Just because of all the stuff that has been going on with Pangea, I've actually personally moved away from Pangea just for now. I would say I would never use it again. Just for right now, I'm not going to be dealing with Pangea. So right now I'm mostly going to be dealing with a few other companies that I like that haven't had anything crazy come out. And just be sticking with those guys for a while. But I also kind of living the homestead lifestyles. Like, I grow my own fruit. We grow our own vegetables. We raise our own livestock. So kind of, I wanted to do something also with the geckos where I can somewhat supplement their own food with stuff that we do here. And we have a lot of native fruits and wild fruits that have less sugar in it that would actually be better for them than a lot of the stuff that is geared towards people. Because if you didn't know this, our modern day fruits have a higher amount of sugar in it than their wild counterparts, just because we selectively bred them to be sweeter and sweeter and sweeter. So the fruits that these guys would be eating in New Caledonia are nowhere near as sweet as the ones we feed them in captivity. And there's no way to get around it because there's not like a massive population of people picking wild fruits that haven't been altered by man that we can feed to our geckos. There was actually a major problem in a lot of zoos for animals that eat a ton of fruits, that they were getting super fat, they were becoming diabetic, and that's just because of kind of like the zookeepers accidentally found out that modern day fruits are 10 times sweeter than their wild counterparts that these animals would have been eaten in the wild. Now, I have found that geckos, especially crested geckos, have a big sweet tooth compared to the other New Caledonian geckos. So gargoyles prefer protein. Chihuahuas prefer protein. Lychees definitely prefer protein. And Cerasahorans are kind of like in the middle. I would say they're more crested gecko-like and that they really like sweets as well. But most of the other new cows have a preference for protein. Crested geckos love sugar. They love sweet stuff. And I think that's kind of where it kind of hurts them because they're so eager to eat sugary stuff. It's just really easy just to get them stuck on Pangea and for them to not want to eat insects at all. So I kind of find that my geckos that are super reluctant to eat insects, they have a handful that will not touch an insect. I can use the insect powder and use a sweeter fruit to kind of trick them into eating the insects and putting on more weight and putting on more muscle mass. Um, I find geckos that have just been eating a Pangea diet, their bodies are a little bit different than geckos that have been eating a good number of insects. It's like they're not as bulky and they're not as muscly than they normally geckos that are just eating a Pangea diet are fat. They're chunky chunkers. They're just fat. They're fat little blobbies. But if this was interesting to you, like and subscribe and tell me what you think.